You believe the voice in your head is you, but what if even the one listening isn't? This silent awareness you call self may not belong to you at all, because the real observer isn't hiding inside. It's hiding everywhere. Beneath the noise of your name, your habits, your memories, there is a quiet watcher. You've met it before, in the spaces between thoughts. You've brushed it in the hush before sleep, in the stillness of awe, in the gaze that lingers beyond words. This watcher is not yours alone. It is not shaped by time or trauma. It doesn't speak, but it watches. It watches you, me, everything. And in this ancient seeing, it binds us, not as separate minds, but as echoes of one awareness reflecting through many. Each act of observation shapes reality, not as illusion, but as unfolding. The universe does not happen to you, it happens through you. So sit with the breath, listen for the silence behind the silence. Because the moment you stop chasing the light, you realize you are what illuminates it. You are never watching from the outside. You are never just a passenger behind your eyes. The silence that sees through you is not waiting in stillness. It is the stillness, humming, at the heart of everything. And now, as your thoughts fall away like leaves in wind, what remains is the root, the observer, not your voice, not your memory, not your ambition, but the awareness that survives them all. The same awareness that watched the sunrise in a cave-dwelling mind 1,000 years ago, watches now through city lights, glowing screens, and your breath as it deepens. This is not a metaphor. This is not poetry dressing up science. Neuroscience searched for the self and found a void, but the void was not empty. It was vast, quiet, alive, and from within it, you awaken, not as an individual, but as the field itself. The theater was never out there. The actor, the stage, the light, they were always you. You have called it your awareness, but how can something so untouched by experience belong to anyone at all? It does not flinch when your story changes. It does not mourn the past or anticipate the future. It is the clear sky behind every storm of thought. What we call I is a costume worn by consciousness, a ripple on the surface of something deep and unmoved. When you feel this watching presence, this mute witness, you may believe it is something personal, spiritual, uniquely yours. But sit long enough, and that illusion dissolves, because the same stillness that watches your fear watches amongst silence. The same gaze behind your eyes watches the laughter of a child, the grief of a stranger, the breath of a whale beneath black ocean. It is not your observer. It is the observer. One flame, many candles. But if the same awareness looks out through all eyes, then where does the world begin? Where does it end? If you are not a single point inside the system, but the system looking at itself, then every observation is more than a glance. It is a birth, a becoming, a bending of the real. So what happens when the observer turns its gaze not inward, but out into the quantum fabric of the cosmos? Watch closely, because the act of watching is about to change everything. The world does not wait in silence to be discovered. It emerges, trembling, when we look at it. At the smallest scales of matter, beneath the stone, behind the wind, reality does not settle until it is seen. Quantum physics tells us a particle is not one thing or another. It is a question mark until the gaze arrives. It hovers between being and not being until the act of measurement collapses possibility into form. This is not poetry. This is physics. In the double-slit experiment, A particle behaves like a wave, spreading, uncertain, until it is observed. Then it snaps into place. Observation crystallizes the undefined into the defined. No phenomenon is a phenomenon until it is observed. The observer does not merely witness the world. It informs it, shapes it. And when the act of observation writes reality into being, who you are becomes what the world is. So if reality bends to the act of witnessing, what binds it all together when no one is watching? If the world shivers into form beneath our gaze, then what happens in the darkness where no eyes fall, where silence reigns? To answer that, we must follow the threads, not just of perception, but of connection, because somewhere between two distant particles, something impossible is whispering. In 1972, two particles touched and never let go. Split apart, hurled light years away, they still spoke in silence. Measure one, and the other knows, instantly, no signal, no delay, as if distance was just a myth the mind believes. This is quantum entanglement, where the laws of space crumble under the weight of connection, where what is here can affect what is there without crossing any bridge at all. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But perhaps it's not spooky, perhaps it's ancient, a memory buried in the code of the cosmos, that all is one and all separation is shadow play. You are not watching from afar, you are entangled, woven into the fabric of the world you think you observe. And when you reach for anything, the whole universe subtly rearranges itself in your hand. The illusion is crumbling now. There is no distant world, no inert reality waiting behind glass. There is only dialogue, only this electric whisper between seer and seen. The physicist John Wheeler said it clearly, it from bit. Every particle, every flicker of matter arises from a question asked and an answer given. Reality, then, is not a monologue of laws and objects. It is a conversation, a participatory unfolding where the observer does not stand apart, but speaks the cosmos into shape with every act of attention. Like a vast, invisible keyboard, the universe responds to what we press, what we probe, what we seek to know. Your gaze is not passive, it is an input, and what returns is the world. What if the reason reality responds to awareness is because reality is awareness, spread across stars, stone, skin, and silence? Not mind trapped in a skull, but mind is the marrow of everything. Some call it panpsychism. But to the observer, labels fall away. What matters is this: consciousness is not an afterthought of evolution. It is not a trick the brain performs. It is a property, a presence, a pulse within every particle. As matter coils into complexity, consciousness blooms brighter, like neurons linking in a cosmic brain. The stars, the cells, the dust between galaxies, all conducting some sacred computation. Not metaphor, not mysticism, but perhaps the deepest science of all. You are not in the universe. You are of it, and it is of mind. So where does you begin when the cosmos itself is thinking? When every star hums with the same silent awareness that watches behind your eyes? Can you still claim to be separate? Or has the final veil lifted? We've walked from breath to particle, from thought to quantum flame. Now, only one truth remains to be seen. If the observer is everything, then what exactly are you? Strip away your name, your memories, the stories you rehearse to remember who you are. What remains? Not absence, but presence. Not emptiness, but the vast, patient gaze behind all becoming. You were never the waves of thought. You were the ocean beneath. Never the mask, but the mirror holding all reflections. Each person you've ever loved, feared, passed by in silence, all variations of the same flame, all borrowed shapes of the same unshakable light. Your identity was never yours alone. It was a costume, stitched by time and torn by time. But what about the consciousness beneath it? That was always shared, a single thread, woven through every mind, every moment. You are not just a self in the world. You are the world, pretending, for a while, to be a self. Now the pieces converge, not as answers, but as echoes of a deeper design. The observer is not a mystery to solve, but a truth to remember. It is the silent witness within you, the unseen participant in quantum events, the link between distant particles, the breath of the conscious universe, the thread that dissolves the illusion of separateness. You are not observing reality from the sidelines. You are one of its vital instruments, a question etched in light, a ripple in the vast cognition of existence. To know this is not to rise above the world, but to fall into it more fully than ever before. Every moment you live, every glance you give, every thought you cradle is part of the unfolding. You are the observer, you are the observed, and there was never a line between them. So what now? Now that the veil is ash and the self is sky? If you are the witness behind all eyes, what does it mean to dream, to fear, to love? This is not the end of thought. It is the beginning of knowing. Because when the observer becomes aware of itself, the universe does not just awaken, it remembers. Dreams are the echo of the universe, channeled through its pawns. The paradox was never meant to be solved, only recalled. The moment the observer becomes aware of itself, reality shimmers into meaning. This is what it was always pointing to: the silence behind thought, the quantum field that listens, the hidden thread connecting you to the star, the stranger, the soundless void. You are not a bystander. You are not a single flame, lost in the dark. You are the universal witness, the spark through which the cosmos learns to see itself. The observer is not bound to one body, but is echoed through all form. The world does not unfold without your gaze, because your gaze is the hinge upon which matter turns. Entangled across distance, woven into time, you have discovered what the mystics whispered, and the physicists now confirm. You do not observe reality, you participate in its birth. Feel it, not the noise of certainty, but the trembling clarity that comes when illusion shatters. For too long, you thought you were watching the world from behind glass, but now the veil is torn, the frame has vanished, and what stands revealed is you. Not the mind-made you, but the witnessing force that births reality with every breath. This is not stillness. This is the storm's eye, where presence is power and silence is the song of creation. You are no longer seeking. You are remembering that you were never outside of the mystery. You are the mystery, awake within itself. Somewhere, a star collapses inward, not in death, but in the sacred act of becoming light again. Somewhere, a child blinks in wonder, and the universe turns its face toward her eyes. And here, in this breath, this silence, this moment, you stand at the still point of all things, the mirror, the flame, the mind behind matter. Reality is not something you walk through. It is something you weave, with your questions, with your gaze, with the awareness that remembers itself even when you forget. So go, not as one who knows, but as one who sees. Now that the observer sees itself, now that awareness has remembered its shape, there is no going back to smallness. Because the moment you stop chasing the light, you remember. You are what illuminates it.